What do you suppose you could learn about generosity from a service berry? The blueberry-like fruit of a shrub, sometimes a tree, called by many names, among them Saskatoon, Juneberry, shadbush, and sugar plum. Hands up if you know any of these berries. Anybody? A few. Well, it turns out you can learn a lot. In upstate New York, where botanist, ecologist, and best-selling author Robin Wall Kimmerer lives, their blooming is an early harbinger of spring, a sign that the ground has thawed. When they ripen, she gathers them from a neighbor's farm. And a hint of what one learns from them is in the way she speaks about them in the first chapter of her inspiring little book, The Service Berry: Abundance and Reciprocity in the Natural World. This abundance of berries, she writes, feels like a pure gift from the land. I have not earned, paid for, nor labored for them. Another hint is in the way she describes the complex interdependent network of other living things and life sources in which the service berry lives. I have no claim to these berries, she writes, and yet here they are in my bucket, a gift. This pail of June berries represents hundreds of gift exchanges that led up to my blue-stained fingers. The maples who gave their leaves to the soil, the countless invertebrates and microbes who exchanged nutrients and energy to build the humus in which a serviceberry seed could take root, the cedar waxwing who dropped the seed, the sun, the rain, the early spring flies who pollinated the flowers, the farmer who wielded the shovel to tenderly settle the seedlings. They are all parts of the gift exchange by which everyone gets what they need. Sound familiar? What we have is here. The Service Berries Network is an abundant system in which its members have what they need because of its reciprocity, because of its give and take, its sharing of gifts. How do we apply these ideas to humans, to us? Kimmerer, who is a Native American and a member of the Potawatomi Nation, offers an example. In her serviceberry book, she describes the gift economy, she calls it, of indigenous communities, an economy based on a deep connection with the natural world and a recognition that the plants and animals that sustained them were gifts. They were grateful for those gifts and realized that those gifts required nurturing, required reciprocity. They were aware of their participation in the great web of mutuality and interdependence that is all of creation. They felt a sense of abundance, that they had all that they needed to survive, and they knew that that abundance was communal, not individual, that the members of the tribe thrived together, that their prosperity was communal. They were grateful for what they had, and from that gratitude flowed generosity, a generosity that sustained the tribe as the fruit that the serviceberry bush gave to the cedar waxwings ensured its survival through the distribution of its seeds. The evolutionary psychologist Robert Wright says that what he calls reciprocal generosity, what I've just described, evolved in small tribal settings because genes that repaid kindness with kindness had an evolutionary advantage, increased the likelihood of one's genes moving into the next generation. So let's say he's right. We evolved to be generous to those like us within our family or tribe. But what happens when the tribe and its connections break down? when the world population grows to 8 billion, when rugged individualism becomes the norm in our country, when community support systems break down, people become alienated, lonely, and fearful. What happens to reciprocal kindness and generosity? We're thousands of years away from our tribes. Where do we now find communal care and respect, reciprocity, and a sense of abundance, and the gratitude and generosity that flow naturally from reciprocity and a sense of abundance? The answer is in the question, in community, as Nate has explained. But not all communities. Less likely in some loose-knit affinity groups, for example, more likely in others, like religious communities, tight-knit communities held together by strong bonds of love and spirit like ours. When Kate and I moved to a small town 40 miles west of Chicago 45 years ago, we went church shopping because we wanted to meet people and be part of a group bound together by certain moral and ethical principles. We weren't looking for religious community as such, or at least I wasn't. I hadn't heard that term, religious community, and didn't know what it meant, and had no concept of its power. Like Nate, I didn't know what I'd be getting into. When we found the mainline Protestant churches too theologically conservative, Kate stumbled across the UU Society in the neighboring town of Geneva. On our first visit, reading aloud the Society's covenant, we knew we had found the place for us. I can still recite it from memory, although I won't try it here. Written in 1842, the year the Society was founded, it goes like this. Being desirous of promoting practical goodness in the world and of aiding each other in our moral and religious improvement, we have associated ourselves together, not as agreeing in opinion, not as having attained universal truth in belief or perfection in character, but as seekers after truth and goodness. Here it is, we realized, an intentional community dedicated to promoting practical goodness, kindness, reciprocity, generosity. I didn't have to wait long to see how that intention would manifest. A kindly, grandmotherly woman presiding in the nursery on Sunday mornings, another woman designing and running the children's RE program, training volunteer teachers like Kate and me, rides and meals provided for members who needed them, sympathy cards, circle suppers, auction donations, a capital campaign to build an addition to the 140-year-old building, members stepping up to provide sweat equity when the local bank wouldn't loan us funds to meet the campaign shortfall. We don't want to have to foreclose on a church, the banker told me. I was starting to get it. A few years later, in our Atlanta church, a couple volunteering to start and maintain a library in the church during the Great Recession when financial donations shrank, a group of retirees volunteering to clean the church weekly, hospital visits, volunteering for the local food bank and transitional housing organization. And in every congregation we've known, outreach to the broader community and participation in important local and national movements, voter education, racial and immigrant justice, housing, peace, and nuclear disarmament. This is nothing new to you here at UUP. Kindness and reciprocity within the community and outreach beyond it. For you, we, I now have to say, are more engaged in all these things than any other UU congregation I've ever been a part of. Legal observer training and the upcoming North Bay Unites non-cooperation training, being just two examples. And it's not surprising, for all of this is a manifestation of our affirmation, which we just read, and which is so very similar in spirit and intent to Geneva's, written in a different language more than 150 years ago. Certainly, other kinds of communities exhibit these characteristics, but I think there's a secret sauce in religious communities like ours, a spiritual dimension, the same spiritual dimension found in Robin Wall Kimmerer's indigenous communities and that Nate found in the Al-Anon group. A recognition of something greater than ourselves and interrelatedness to all of creation and dependence upon it. A recognition that we haven't made it by ourselves alone, that much has been given to us, that we are individuals only in our uniqueness and are not solely responsible for where we find ourselves in time and place. We are the beneficiaries of much grace. And like Kimmerer's people, we are open to and honor the great mysteries that infuse and support us and all life, which we call the spirit of life and love. That spirit is here. It is the love that UUA puts at the center of its new values statement. It is the love that is the doctrine of this church, as we said this morning. The gifts we receive in exchange in this community are many. For the most part, they don't nourish our bellies, except on Sunday mornings, but they do feed us, as Nate said. They feed our spirits, our souls, if you will. We are accepted for who we are. We are encouraged to accept all that we are, the shadow and the light, to understand that perfection is a fool's errand. We hear the message that we are wanted and needed. Feeling wanted and needed and safe, we slowly let down our guard. Risking vulnerability, we become authentic, discovering and exposing our true selves. In the process, we grow into wholeness. We see the authenticity and vulnerability in others, and in accepting ourselves for who we are, we accept them, and their presence reminds us how to be our best selves. We comfort each other in times of need. We grieve with each other. We rejoice and celebrate with each other. We offer a shoulder, a hug, a smile. Our talents, gifts, and interests are recognized, and we are encouraged to use them. We cook, we clean, we provide coffee and goodies, we teach, we greet, we serve in the nursery, we sing, some dance. We keep our eye on the books, we serve on the board. We lead stewardship drives, we lead worship, we run the sound and video systems, we lead and participate in social justice efforts, and more. We recognize that in this community, our welfare is tied to the welfare of all, and that, as Aya tells us, all of us are wanted and all of us are needed. We realize that we have been recipients of great gifts of spirit, of love. And in our gratitude for those gifts, we are grateful. Like Kimmerer's indigenous cultures, ours becomes a culture of gratitude, and we become generous. We give back. We contribute in many ways, and ours becomes a community of abundance. We feel it, and we feel the strength of the community. We feel that we are stronger together, like the community of South Minneapolis, held together by love and care, neighbors helping neighbors, those more vulnerable than themselves. Here, our community of abundance and abundance of the whole becomes a harbor from the scarcity of late-stage capitalism, in which the system is rich, but the riches aren't shared equitably, with most of the growth going to the rich and workers' wages stagnating, helping to explain Trump's rise to power. To risk reiterating, ours is not an abundance of material things, but an abundance of spirit. Here, that abundance feeds our spirits, our souls, and it's magical. When our souls are nourished by those around us, we feel less alone, we feel held, less afraid, more alive, more joyful. When our soul is nourished, we know where that nourishment came from. We are glad, we are grateful, and we give back. We are generous with our spirits, with our time, and with our resources. We share because we have received, and because we know that our strength and welfare is in community. Robin Wall Kimmerer says, if the sun is the source of flow in the gift economy of nature, what is the sun of a human gift economy, the source that constantly replenishes the flow of gifts? Maybe it is love, she says. The UUA puts love at the center of its new statement of 6 shared values of generosity. It says, we cultivate a spirit of gratitude and hope. We covenant to freely and compassionately share our faith, presence, and resources. Our generosity connects us to one another in relationships of interdependence and mutuality. It is clear to me that a spirit of gratitude and hope is alive here, and the generosity that flows from it, fueled by love for each other, and for the entire web of existence of which we are a part. May it be so.